SJ, welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar.
SJ, Mvskoke. I'm having a rough morning, guys. It's Morgan, and today we have Kaylee with me today, hosting the show. We are both having rough mornings, so happy Wednesday, everybody. And I just want to say good morning. SJ, Mvskoke, Morgan Taylor, Jaho Jifkados.
And I'm Kaylee.
Oh, hold on. Try again.
Okay, and this is Kaylee. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, they can hear you. Okay, everybody, we hope we're having a good Wednesday. Today we have the Mvskoke Veterans Women's Honor Guard, and Kaylee's going to be mostly navigating that interview. And then after that, we are talking with Zach Harjo with the Nation, and he does the VITA Taxes program. So we're going to have an interesting show today and give you guys some cool information about taxes and the newly formed Women's Veterans Program. It just started getting really windy for some reason, out of nowhere. I'm like, what is going on? What's blowing in? Hopefully no more snow.
Yeah.
All right, Kaylee, go ahead and introduce your guest if you would like to.
Okay, so today with us is the Women's Honor Guard, the Estejari Hoktoji Soladawa Commander, Megan Lowry, and she has actually been with the Honor Guard from the planning stages until now. So I'm going to let her just say hi, and then you can just start talking about like the Honor Guard.
Well, thank you. This is Megan. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great morning so far. You know, it's kind of been a rough start. I think we've got some retrograde going on.
Hey, at least it's Wednesday though.
Right. We're almost done with the week. So like Kaylee said, we kind of had a few meetings planning out the Women's Honor Guard. It was interesting. We've only had the Men's Honor Guard. They've been doing a great job. They've invited us to their meetings and everything. A few of us had attended those. But it's one of those, you know, women serve right alongside the men, and we have unique experiences as women in the military. And so we're really, really proud of our tribe for honoring us in this way, by allowing us to have the opportunity to showcase our exemplary service, and then also it's also kind of a healing path to be able to come home in this way. So we are looking to recruit other women veterans, and if you're in the reserves or on active duty or anything, always welcome. Military service is the requirement. If you are a veteran and you're a woman and you're a Creek citizen, we ask, if you want to come join us, we welcome you with open arms. We do ask for an honorable discharge. If it's other than honorable, we can do a case-by-case basis. If you are a different tribe, but you live within our reservation boundaries, we'd also like to welcome you. So, man, that wind is really crazy out here.
And I recently just did an article kind of, about the introduction of the new Women's Honor Guard. So if anyone is interested in joining, there's a QR code in the paper and online on mvskokemedia.com that you can scan to fill out all of the information needed to sign up. And the next meeting will actually be this Saturday.
This Saturday on Zoom. We have the same Zoom login, so if anybody signs up between now and then, I'll shoot an email with all that information. So we do, obviously we recognize with the holiday season, it's kind of hard to get together in person. So we're bouncing around between in-person meetings and on Zoom. And then as this kind of progresses along, we'll do hybrid style meetings so everybody can still be involved. We know that transportation is kind of a barrier sometimes, so.
Mm-hmm. I had a question.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for both of you for your service, first of all, and just somebody who's not been in the military. Like, what are some of the things that you do? Do you guys do mostly military events, or do you Like, what are you guys' activities and, like, you know, things like that?
So what do we do? So we do, it's called an honor guard. We bring flags in to kick off events like basketball games, or I know we have the Veterans Benefit Concert coming up at the River Spirit Casino February 4th. So we'll be part of that. I believe the men's honor guard's also going to be with us on that. We have a few other events coming up in the near future. We also do funeral rites. We once we finish getting all of our gear, we'll do 21 gun salutes. So it's just kind of anything that needs to be honored, we could try to accommodate that.
What is your military service experience? Like, what was your MOS and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I guess. Kaylee taught me that
one. So my military occupational specialty, my MOS, I was traditionally trained up to be a military police officer. And then I got selected for a special duty assignment for the White House. I did security for President Bush Jr. while he was in office. So his last term in office, right before Obama was elected in, that's when I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were, like, up and personal with the man.
Yes, so I got to travel all over the world with him and his family. So it was pretty awesome.
That's a pretty serious job, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did you land that?
I still have no idea. No.
I'm like, little old me gets to protect the president, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what was that like? I mean,
It was pretty intense. We had to be top notch on everything. So physical fitness, rifle scores. We had MCIs back then. I don't know if they still do those, but it's
What's
like
an MCI?
Training modules.
Oh, okay.
There's a joke that Marines eat crayons. I had mine this morning, so I'm good. But MCIs are like little training modules, kind of the equivalent to a really quick college course.
Okay.
So, we may eat crayons, but some of us have some brain cells. So.
Hey, they might help out. You never know. Well, so being that, and like, what do you do now?
So I actually work for the nation. I help run the substance use program at the hospital. So we have several grants. It's a pretty fancy, smanchy program where if you're struggling with substance use, we can help get people into detox or rehab or medication-assisted treatment, that kind of stuff.
Do you work with veterans specifically or just anybody?
Anyone from a federally recognized tribe, we are able to help, and then also we have resources for non-tribal members, and we're doing lots of training to be able to expand to help veterans and everything else.
I think I saw a video but it was, you were a part of it with the veterans office not too long ago, maybe like, I don't know, maybe last year sometime, and it was talking about.
Was it the service dog video?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I thought I had recognized you. Yeah. Do you work with the veterans office a lot?
I sometimes maybe. I don't know that you would say a lot. Most of the stuff that I've done with the veterans office has been trying to get the women's honor guard kind of up and going. I also train service dogs for veterans, so.
Okay. Wow.
That's all my not so free time.
And we were Kaylee did the story about the dogs with the Vaso office.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the thank you for your service dogs. And I think they still, they still have a few dogs available. So if there are any veterans out there who want a service animal, you're interested, you can contact the Vaso about that. And you don't have to be within the reservation either. I know there's for sure one veteran who came from Yukon, I believe, and was able to pick up a dog. So that's awesome.
Do you train those dogs?
No, I don't train those. I've offered my services, but no, I mostly I just pull from shelters. I take rescue dogs and train them up and then be able to get them out. So.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I don't love dogs that much. I mean, I like them, but not enough to do all that. Well, so what is coming up for the Women's Honor Guard? Like, what's the next thing on the list to do, get done, have done, and be where you guys need to be? Well,
so we just got chartered November 19th at the National Council. Thanks again. Shout out to all the council members for approving us. It was a landslide, so thanks. Also, we have been getting our bylaws situated. So our next step is to work on our uniforms. So we know what we need to order for uniforms and get situated. We're gonna have military uniforms and then traditional regalia. So we kind of have the option for both. It'll be interesting. So we need to get that together, get our regalia made. We're also looking to have our first event January 7th. Is that right?
January 7th, yes. The Big Home versus Haskell basketball game here at the Dome. So that'll be exciting.
Yes.
Oh, y'all are participating in that?
Yes.
I'm so going. I have to watch. That's going to be so fun. What are you guys doing? Are you doing like the flag thing? Or?
Yeah, it'll be our first official honor guard. We went to the Wetumpka Christmas parade and we got to toss out some candy to some kiddos, but we didn't have our uniforms or anything then or a flag, so we didn't do an honor guard. So
right. And this last meeting we were able to start electing our officials, I guess is what you say, like our commander, vice commander, treasurer, stuff like that. So we're getting there. It's been we've been getting a lot of requests, and so we're trying to catch up in order to be able to fulfill all of those requests.
Right, so you guys can be there. So you're the commander.
Mm-hmm.
You were elected.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Awesome. Who, I don't know, were you guys like, Megan for commander?
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since Megan and the Attorney General, Jerry Weisner, since they were both with the planning stages of everything, Megan is our commander and then Jerry is our vice commander, and they've been super great with everything, and it's been really nice. Everybody's, able to talk and get their input and everything, and so it's been an easy process, since we've been started anyways, with trying to get everything situated.
It's kind of cool, you guys have a good variation of people. You got Marines that work in health and in law, and then, Kaylee does Air Force, and then she's a reporter, so you got, a good mix of, people there. Mm-hmm. I bet that's good for, connections and, things like that, networking.
Yeah, I think we have every branch except Coast Guard and then Space Force.
Right.
So.
And you know what? When we do the veteran submissions, we never have Coast Guards. And that wind is, super crazy. Something is coming. Something is telling me. It's just the morning. Okay, I'm going to stop.
Yeah, I don't know.
The rest of the day is coming. That's what it is. Well, I know that we're looking for more members. So again, if anybody wants to join, we have the QR code on the website, the Mvskoke Media website, and we have a Facebook page. It's closed right now, just as we're trying to get everything kind of up and running. But we encourage you, if you look it up, it's the Hoktaji Siladawa Facebook page. So if you can find it and you want to join, we'll talk to you that way too.
So does the Hoktaji does that just stand for Women's Honor Guard?
So Estajati is Indian person, and then the Hoktaji is woman, and Siladawa is warrior. The councilwoman, Anna Marshall, that suggested that she sponsored our proposal for this group. She's the one that came up with that name, and she wanted to honor us in that way.
Yeah, I love that name, and I love her. She's super awesome.
She's so nice.
Yeah, she's so nice. She's really passionate about things. So, and she always supports our veterans. So thank you for that, Miss Anna Marshall, if you're listening. So when is you guys' next meeting? Is that open to the public, or how do you guys do that?
So our meetings right now, since we're still just trying to get everything up and running, we keep them to veterans only. Again, it's going to be this Saturday on Zoom at 11:30 a.m. And so if you can get a hold of us, then we'll send you the link for it. But as we go forward, we start doing more outreach and stuff, then we'll probably open it up to the public. All of our meetings, our minutes for the meetings, we believe in transparency, so those are posted on our Facebook page. We'll open that page up to the public also.
Well, that's nice. You got to let people know what's going on. You know, they're going to be wondering, they're a new thing, and they're going to be like, how do women run it better? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So what are you guys looking at for uniforms? How does that look? Where are you guys getting that funding from and all that?
So the council gave us a budget to outfit 15 women for our first year. So I believe we're at 8 or 9 right now. So we're almost halfway, a little over halfway there. For our military-based uniforms, we're going to be wearing digital camouflage, the tan suede boots, We are planning on having ribbons, like a traditional ribbon shirt would, ribbons on the back. And then for our traditional regalia, we're all going to have the same color blouses and ribbon skirts, but the things that'll be different are the branch ribbons. We found some really pretty ribbons on Etsy that.
Are there any other tribes that do a women's honor guard or have their women in honor guard? Or?
Yeah, so when we got chartered, just a couple weeks before we got chartered was the Women Veterans Summit at the River Spirit Casino, and the Kiowa women have a women's honor guard, and they're phenomenal. And they were kind enough to do a video in support of our potential honor guard that we were trying to put together. So it was really, really sweet of them to do that. I've known them for a couple years. They're very, very fun ladies.
Is that something you guys will like do future partnerships with or something like that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
Yep. Kaylee, did you have something?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought I interrupted you just now. Now I'm putting you on the spot. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, what do you see for the future, like, of the group and what you guys will do?
We really, it's kind of an interesting question. We want to do the honor guard stuff. So that's our first priority. We also want to do outreach. One thing that we've all kind of discussed was being able to carry the MMIW/P flag at all of our honor guard events that we do, to raise awareness about that also. We know that there's toy drives and stuff around Christmas, but we want to be active in our communities, not just an honor guard that people call upon for special events. So that's kind of what we see for the future. Outside of that, I know that we all have some interesting backgrounds, everyone that's part of the honor guard so far, so I definitely see us being able to have a national reach, not just on the reservation. So that might be something else that we get into.
Yeah, I look forward to it for sure. And the representation and the way you guys will be able to represent the nation and yourselves will be awesome, getting out there. Because I always liked, seeing them do stuff. Like, before Kaylee came along, I did all the veteran stuff, and I always liked doing it, like, seeing all the honor guards and stuff. Yeah, they're pretty cool guys, too, but I'm interested to see who all will come along with you guys and how that'll work. Everybody's super tired. Like, I'm like not awake still. I'm like, how am I here? Well, so what is your favorite thing about participating in the honor guard?
So, that's another good question. I also participate on the Delaware honor guard up in Bartlesville.
What is Delaware? Like, is that a tribe?
The Delaware Lenape.
Oh, okay. Are you that part of that tribe?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
But they have graciously welcomed me with open arms. So before I even knew that women were allowed on the honor guard here with the Creek Nation, I was at TCC. They did an honor guard at TCC. They had a powwow, and so they welcomed me again with open arms. So that was really cool. But that's kind of how I got started with honor guard stuff as far as the Native American stuff goes. And then, being a tribal member, I asked if I could join the men's honor guard, and a couple of months before the women's honor guard got chartered, I finally went to a meeting. And they're super nice guys. Yeah. We also got to go on a trip to Washington D.C. with them, so that was also pretty fun. But I don't know. It's just it's nice. It's camaraderie. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2008, so I feel old saying that. But I don't know. There's something it's in your blood. It's in your soul. Like, you can't. Right. It's not something that just stops whenever you leave the military. So being able to have this women's honor guard, it's like a healing path. It kind of brings that full circle. So yeah.
Yeah, you get to be surrounded by other people who, have similar experiences or, have dealt with the same thing. Or because coming back as a veteran, it's hard to talk to, like, your family and friends who are civilians and never experienced it. It's just because it's just a different culture. It's just a different world, really. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's definitely awesome to be able to come and have a place like where women veterans can come and talk, because and I know like whenever, okay, so like the VASO, they have the coffee and donuts, which is awesome, and I have yet to make it because I always forget about it, but I'm coming this next month. But you know, like whenever it's men in a room and women, people aren't going to really open up and talk about different things like whenever you're together, but whenever you're separate, you're able to kind of converse more and like talk and, you know, get to know each other a little bit better. So I think this is a great way, you know, for that to happen as well.
Like fellowship, and I'm sure experiences are different as men and women. Like I'm like, I know I perceive things different than men, so you know, I don't know, but yeah, I get to ask Kaylee sometimes and talk to her about her experience, but then like I don't know, you know, she doesn't. We don't always get into it about it because I just don't understand. She's like, what'd you say about the hair thing? And I was like, oh, they would have kicked me out already. Like, she said they make you
like
pin your hair
has
down.
to be completely everything. Yeah.
And you see my hair.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. Like,
yeah, we used to call it having a helmet head.
Yes.
In the Marine Corps, at least. I don't know about the Air Force, but like we couldn't even have like bobby pins. Nothing could show. You had to have your hair in a bun, up off your collar. Like if it was short enough to where it wouldn't fit in a bun, then it had to be like an inch off your collar, so it's like a short bob.
Oh my gosh, and no makeup, right?
No, you can do like it has to be natural, like natural looking. So like very like basically mascara, a little bit of eyeliner, maybe like base, you know, like nothing crazy. Like you're not gonna go out, you know, later after work.
Like no cat eyes.
Yeah, no,
no fake lashes.
No.
No fake lashes. No. Okay, that's it.
I think, honestly, though, I think now that's kind of changed. As long as it's not, like, crazy. Like, you know, if you're going to walk outside right now and blow away because you got your lashes done so thick and long. But...
I do that. Yeah.
No. Yeah. But, I mean, and I will say that I think, you know, more recently, the military's kind of... It's changed a lot because even right before I got out, we were able, at least in the Air Force, we were able to wear ponytails and braids whenever before it had to be a bun or, your hair shorter than your collar. So that was always nice, but it, like, you get headaches from buns and, like, you have hair loss and everything. So, like, I think with the new leadership, they were actually, like, listening to a lot of the issues. So that was nice.
Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of disorder. I mean, obviously... You know, some of us have crazy thick hair.
Yeah.
I remember whenever I had a bun, like it would start at the middle of my head, and then by the end of the day, it'd be like at the base of my skull.
Bottom,
yeah, it would just like sink down. But I mean, I know for some of our other members, they would have either hair mold or alopecia. Like there were some actual disorders coming out just related to the hair regulations. It was pretty crazy. So,
right.
Some wild stuff.
And then also with the honor guard, like we're still going to, you know, like we're still in the military. Like any veteran that you ask, like you're always going to be in the military. So that's just your mindset. But so that's like one thing, like as far as like the hair regulations and uniform regulations and everything, like that's something that we're still going to adhere to.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. And like, how can people ask you guys questions or put in requests or anything like that? What's the place where they can like do all that? Is that your Facebook or yeah?
So yes, we have Facebook. Again, our QR code is linked to a little Google survey that takes in people's information. We could probably make an extra question on there for like if they're wanting to request an event or something, but Kaylee has been voted in as our public affairs officer.
Yes.
No way.
No surprise, right?
No way.
Yeah, so we're
or was it social media?
I think I did like
maybe it's both.
Yeah, it's both. Like I'm a primary on one and a secondary on the other one, and I probably should know that, but
I feel like I should know that too.
Yeah. This is just a recent decision, so but we're like I said, like we're taking those steps to move forward and get everything situated that like we need to. So it might be like a little crazy right now, but we definitely, if anybody is interested, you can reach out to us. Like I said, the QR code is probably the easiest thing to get your information submitted, and then we can reach out once we have that information. If you can't find that for some reason, you can try to find the Facebook group. It's Estajadi Hoktaji Saladawa on Facebook. It's a closed group, but you can answer the question. I think it's just asking like what branch of service you were in. You can add request to join that, and we'll accept it and communicate through there also.
Are there any like limitations or things that you guys will or won't do? And is this all like voluntary for you guys? You don't get paid?
Yes. Yeah, it's all 100% volunteer work. We, again, we were granted a budget from National Council, but that was to buy like uniform items, and then it helps with like mileage for when we have to travel.
Right.
Equipment.
Yeah, equipment. Yeah. So the rest of it, it's all volunteer. The stuff that we will and won't do, I mean, it's, if we have time for it, we're definitely going to try to all show up.
I gotcha.
We need a minimum of 4 people, and right now we have 8 or 9. So
enough for 2 groups if need be, like if everybody
everyone's
has
available.
time. Yeah. Okay. Is there any special events that you guys want to do or have already planned to do? Like, are you guys going to go to DC next year again, or things like that?
Hope so.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we are
too far ahead
in doing. Yeah.
Too far ahead. I feel you there. I don't know what's going on tomorrow, so or what went on yesterday. All right. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Anything else from you guys? We just got a couple minutes here.
The last thing that I would add is just like I said, we're, anyone who is wanting to participate, honorable discharge, or if it's other than honorable, a case-by-case situation. We do ask that if you're going to join, we need people who are going to be reliable and serious about it, just because this is a way for it. There's a lot that goes into it, for one, but we want people who are going to want to actually be there to honor our past veterans, or show up and be a representation of the veterans in the Mvskoke Nation also. So
the case-by-case thing, is that something you guys will vote on or look over all together? Okay, with your upper group or whatever.
Yeah, our elected officers will have an officers meeting to be able to kind of go over that, and then depending on how that vote goes, then we may open it up to the rest of the group. Just because we are so small right now, I think everybody in the group's officers anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we all hold 2 positions, basically, like a primary and a secondary. So.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, that's something you guys are used to, I'm sure. Being in the military.
Wearing many hats.
Many hats.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
Well, that's awesome. Well, it's been really nice talking with both of you this morning, being
Thank
veterans. Like I said, thank you for your service. What's the VASO number if anybody else needs services? You know what I mean? Okay, we don't know it. Nobody knows.
I believe it's 732-7616, but do not quote me on that. But
I think it is too, yeah. Well, that's just to throw out there in case anybody needs some veterans services today. You got all the other contact information. Megan, is there a direct line to you for?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind sharing. So I have in my phone, I don't know if it's up to date or not, but I have the Veterans Office is 918-732-7739.
Yeah, that's another one. I think I have Grover's direct line.
Okay.
So that's Grover's direct, or one of those?
I think so. Yeah. I think the one that I said is Grover's.
You will reach somebody.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's also another way to get a hold of us, is going through the VASO. They have their own Facebook page. So if you can't find ours, you can always go through theirs.
Perfect.
If anybody does want to get a hold of me, I've made my number public for lots of other things, but it's 918-430-4391. So I don't mind anybody shooting me a message or giving me a phone call.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here with this one. And thank you, Megan. Thank you, Kaylee. And we're going to take a short break here. All right, and we're back. Happy hump day. I'm ready to get this day over with. I'm just I want to go back to bed. But today I have in here today with me, Zach Harjo. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Zachariah Harjo. I'm the Deputy Secretary of the Nation and Commerce for the Mvskoke Creek Nation. I also have with me Megan Dosh. She is the site coordinator for the VITA tax program. But for the past, this is year 4 now, I've been the site sponsor / one of the primary site coordinators for the VITA tax program. And I guess I should say the Mvskoke Creek Nation VITA TCE tax program. And so I believe we're here to talk about the 2023 updates for today, and the continual progress of the program as it moves forward.
So what is VITA tax program? Can you explain what that is exactly?
Sure. The VITA tax program is the volunteer income tax assistance program that was established, I believe, in the 70s through an act of Congress. But essentially what this program does, it provides free tax assistance and tax filing for all American citizens and in some cases non-American citizens as well that live within the United States, but primarily American citizens that are lower income. And so the VITA tax program offers, like I said, income tax assistance and filing assistance for citizens typically making below, I would say, $59,000 per year. I believe the threshold. Do you remember what the threshold is this year, Megan?
I think it's 59,000. I think this year too.
I think it's anywhere from 57 to 59,000 per household annually. So as long as you make below that threshold, then you can typically seek out any VITA site, not just ours. But there are a number of VITA sites throughout the state and throughout the country. And VITA is one of the largest programs that the Internal Revenue Service operates in direct partnership with tribal governments, with nonprofits, with state governments, and colleges and universities. So in our region, the Mvskoke Nation is often one of the largest service providers, especially in the rural regions outside of Tulsa, for not only just social services, but a lot of communal services that you don't have to be a tribal member to participate in. And this is one of them. As a federal program, anyone within the nation's jurisdiction or reservation, as long as you meet the income guidelines, can essentially come get your taxes filed for free. The only other stipulations, of course, is you have to be an American citizen. For our program, at least, there are other VITA sites that are more advanced that could potentially file a non-citizen return, and then I believe that's it. I know in the years past we've also offered a virtual option, and if you do the virtual option, there is the opportunity to file the return online by yourself with assistance from program staff. And I believe if you do it, if you file by yourself, the income limit is then extended to $72,000 per household. So, and maybe per household is a little bit confusing. It's maybe a better way to phrase it is the income limit for VITA for in-person services $59,000 per return. So I know in some households, there might be a two-parent situation where, both parents, as long as they're making under $59,000, we could file their return, but they might have adult children or they might have other family members that live with them that have their own income and will be filing their own return. They wouldn't be included on the husband and wife or the parents.
Individual cases.
Yeah. So per return is probably a better phrase in terms of the income limit.
Okay, great. I forget that we do this. We include the other citizens as well, but other people as well in this, and so this is open to everybody, right?
Yep.
Where do you do these services at?
So in years past, we've always hosted, we originally hosted at the Secretary of the Nation's office. Last year, we were fortunate to host it at the brand new Okmulgee Indian Community Center. But this year, we'll be hosting it, I believe, at the Mvskoke Nation Department of Housing. As of right now, that's the plan. I don't think that will change. But we'll be releasing some new advertisements that go over all the locations and the times and days that you can make appointments. But in addition to a primary site that we operate, we also offer, what do you call it? I'm blanking on the terms. Outreach trips. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Outreach trips. So starting in the beginning of the tax season, we always reach out to all the community centers throughout the reservation and offer, to do an outreach event at their community center. And in years past, we've gone to Okemah, Mvskoke, Tulsa, Glenpool, am I missing Sapulpa, and maybe Eufaula. But I mean, really, any of the community centers that are interested in hosting and have the capacity. So the capacity typically requires them having Wi-Fi and then just basic, the space requirements to be able to file returns and, respecting privacy of all the potential clients that come in. That's the basic requirement, but really it's open to anyone. And we also hosted outreach events at the OSUIT campus here in Okmulgee. Really, it's open to anywhere. We've historically tried to host an outreach event at River Spirit, knowing that a lot of the gaming employees might benefit from a free tax filing return on site. But we've never been able to locate a day. So, I mean, those are always hopes and goals, and we might be able to do that this year. But I imagine we'll be going out to the community centers as well again, and then possibly to OSUIT, and then hopefully, another institution or maybe the College of Mvskoke Nation.
That'd be a good one.
And
Yeah.
then for sure we'll be reaching back out to River Spirit, just because that represents the nation's probably the second largest, or maybe even the largest at this point, employment opportunity that we offer.
So do you guys have to like hire extra staff for this during this time or anything like that?
Yeah, we do. And actually, this is probably a good time to mention. So since I came on board with the Secretary of the Nation's office in 2019, we've been looking for a permanent home for the VITA tax program. So we've always offered it, and I believe for a government of our size, and a tribal government in particular, this is a service, and also the region that we serve, it being rural. I believe that this is just a service that we have to provide. You know, if you look at our peers in the Chickasaw and Choctaw and Cherokee Nation, they all operate VITA programs, and in particular the Chickasaw Nation offers a VITA program that is separate from any other governmental service. So they have a VITA office that all they do is taxes, you know, throughout the year. And so my whole goal since I came on was to get us to that place. And in the 4 years that I've been with the nation, we have received the first ever VITA grant that was awarded to the nation through the Internal Revenue Service, and we're one of 2 recipients that have received it again this year, the other being the Chickasaw Nation, and that includes all applicants for the state of Oklahoma, tribal and non-tribal. And long term, we've found that the tax commission, the Mvskoke Creek Nation Tax Commission, has the capacity, or will continue to grow the capacity, to house the program long term. And I think it's the intention of the tax commission for them to set up a VITA office, essentially. And so we're working with them now, and Megan Doss, as I mentioned, is the site coordinator. She's helped us out. This is year 3 now. Yeah, this is the 3rd year she'll be with the program. She's highly qualified, highly experienced, and I believe that she'll be taking over the operations in conjunction with the tax program starting this year, but really starting next year, it'll be fully housed in the tax commission, whereas my office is still involved in the grant side as well as the management of the program overall. We're trying to use this year as a training year to make that transition and really provide, like I said, a long-term house for this program, and make it a hallmark provision of services that the nation has to offer.
So like myself, I use an online service for my taxes just because that's what first thing I did, and I've just consistently used that one. And like, what is the benefit to using the VITA tax program to like an online service?
I guess probably the most beneficial portion of it is you have certified tax professionals. So each year, all of the program staff that are involved with VITA have to get certified with the current year tax law. And so when you do your taxes by yourself, most people's taxes, I would say, are pretty straightforward. If you just have standard W-2 income, it really is just about filling in, you know, the boxes in the corresponding area online. So it's not too difficult. Where it gets difficult is, say, you might be a Lyft driver, or you might be a waiter, or, you know, some other service-based industry, right, where some of your income isn't directly reflected in a straightforward manner on your W-2, or you have to generate essentially your W-2, because I know Lyft and other kind of part-time employment centers, or not centers, but businesses, they offer a 1099, or they don't offer the full tax form. You have to kind of generate and account for all of your business expenditures on top of whatever the income you earn. So it's helpful to have another set of eyes in those instances, but there's also other returns that we do, particularly for some agricultural clients, where they come in and they're able to claim losses that, you know, they may not understand how to do, but someone within our office will be able to figure it out. Or if we don't know, then we have the direct resource with the IRS to be able to figure out what exactly we need to do to get the return processed and approved. So really, it's the not peer review, but the certified tax law professional review of all of the potential credits and anything that involves your return to get it to the best possible outcome is where it's beneficial, I think, to use the tax program. Now, some people do argue with us where they might do it on their own TurboTax or something, like, well, I was getting back, you know, this amount of money, and I come here and I'm getting less money, and it might be because they're not claiming everything that they should.
Right.
And we're required by law, once they were provided with information by the tax client, we have to file it. If it's legally, if there's their legal requirement to file it, and they're going to file with us, we have to file it on their behalf. Now, in those situations, the client has the full ability, to not use our services, and if they feel like they know better, or if they have a their own way of filing, then they can go ahead and do that. But essentially, we as tax law professionals, we can't certify and remit a return that we know omits information that is required to be submitted via law. But ultimately, the benefit is that you have certified professionals looking at your return, and there are certainly returns that they might be within the income guidelines, but they're going to be outside of our scope. So there are returns that we have to turn down just because we're not a super advanced site that you might find at the University of Oklahoma College of Law, which also operates a VITA program. So that's another consideration to keep in mind, but for the most part, it just is simpler. And I think especially for the elders, so we have the VITA TCE. So TCE is the tax counseling for the elderly portion. VITA is anyone that is 59 and under. I should say 58 and under, and then TCE is anyone for 59 and over for the tax year. And so the tax counseling for the elderly portion, I think, is probably very beneficial for a lot of the elders within our community, just because they may not have the technical skills to navigate an online portal, or even just filing their own return. And even if their return amount is low, they might still be leaving money on the table that otherwise they may not receive at all.
Right. I'm looking here right now, and it's saying there are some, like people who have a disability or on a fixed income, things like that. Elderly people are people who should look into this program. And I think that that's something to keep in mind. Also, like you said, that was a good point, that if you guys get the information, you have to file it. I think people should be aware of that. What are some of the things regarding McGirt that'll be different, or like I know that the Oklahoma Tax Commission has been reviewing the Strobel case, and they decided that against the administrative law judge's decision. And so what does that mean for us?
First of all, I would say that it's not terribly surprising that the ultimate outcome of that case is against the tribal citizen and against the administrative law decision, because primarily the state tax commission has an incentive and an investment to basically safeguard their own revenue and their own authority over taxation within the state of Oklahoma. Now the tribe has pending litigation wherein, because of the McGirt decision in 2020, that essentially reaffirmed the existence of the reservation, that we also have taxation jurisdiction over our members within the reservation boundaries. And for a long time, the interpretation, and it still is the case right now, that if you live on trust property within the reservation and you are a member of the tribe to which you're a member of the tribe that you live in. Okay, I'm saying this incorrectly. That you are a citizen of the tribe, and you also live within the reservation, and the land that you live on is held in trust. So there's a lot of allotment descendants that still live on their family's original allotment, or they have parcels of land that were never taken out of trust. Those portions of land are subject only to the jurisdiction of the tribe, and that has always been the case even before the McGirt decision.
Right.
But essentially what the state said is, even after the McGirt decision, that is still the only time the state does not have taxation authority. Now, the tribe has a differing opinion and view on that, wherein after the McGirt decision, we have concurrent, if not sole, jurisdiction over our members who live within the reservation and whose income is derived from within Indian country, quote unquote. And then that Indian country being if you work for a tribally owned business, if you yourself as a tribal member own and operate a business to which you're the majority owner, and then also if you work for the tribal government or gaming or things like that. And so until we learn further under, I guess, the federal court what the decision is and the determination, will probably still be in dispute as to who's correct and who has the correct jurisdiction in terms of taxation, whether it's a state, whether it's a tribe, or if we both share concurrent jurisdiction. And so I would say there's a lot of confusion right now, but ultimately not much has changed since even before the McGirt decision. If you live on trust property, then your income should be, and as long as your income was derived from quote unquote within Indian country, your income should be exempt from state taxation. Now there is the possibility, if the nation does implement its own tax, income tax on its citizens, that even if you lived on trust property, that because the nation has jurisdiction over it, you might be subject to an income tax owing to the tribe and not the state. That is a possibility if the nation chooses to move forward with that type of legislation in the coming years. But for right now, I think the current thought is to wait and see what the federal courts say as to who has the correct jurisdiction in terms of taxation of the tribe citizens, and that would not only just apply to us, it would also apply to the other tribes implicated in the McGirt ruling so far, the other members of the 5 tribes, the Chickasaw, Choctaw, Seminole, and Cherokee, as well as the Quapaw Nation. So it has large implications, and if the federal court does rule that the tribes have at least concurrent or sole jurisdiction over their members who live within the reservation and whose income is derived from within Indian country, then that would mean that the state does not have taxation authority, and that at that point you would be able to file a return and not necessarily have to pay state taxes. Now, that doesn't eliminate the possibility of, like I said, a tribal tax being levied, but that theoretically would absolve the responsibility of tribal citizens living within their respective reservations and working within their respective Indian countries from paying state taxes. But until that decision is made,
just continue as normal.
And really it's up to the citizens too, because there's pending litigation. If a citizen so chooses to file an amendment for their state taxes and claim that they're immune from state taxation, it's up to them. Now, it will almost certainly be held up by the administrative process of the Oklahoma Tax Commission, and it will probably be rejected, and there's a way to formally appeal all that, and that's what Ms. Strobel did in her situation, which initially went in her favor. Now it was reversed by the Oklahoma Supreme Court, or by the review committee of the Oklahoma Tax Commission. But in any case, it's up to the citizen. So, I would say we offer limited advice. If you qualify for our services, we might say, it's up to you, but it might be in your best interest just to go ahead and file the return as normal. And then should the federal ruling come down, within the next year or two, you could then file an amendment to your return and then get that money back.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what initially happened, I think, in 2021. Right after the McGirt decision, there were a bunch of citizens that filed an amendment to their previous year taxes because of the McGirt ruling, and the state at that time issued some refunds, and then it became tied up in legal action from both the state and the tribes, and the citizens ended up having to pay the money back, or it's still tied up in court. So
long process.
A long process, and until we have a federal court ruling, probably from the 10th Circuit Court, there will probably continue to be confusion and all that. But I guess the biggest message in all of this, nothing has particularly changed in how the state is determining its taxation authority from even previous to the McGirt ruling. Like I said, if you live on trust property and you live within the reservation and your income is derived from within the nation's Indian country, quote unquote, then your income should still be exempt, as it always was, because the state never had authority to tax on that land, which has been reaffirmed by a number of federal court decisions.
Crazy decisions to make for everybody. I'm like, I wonder what will happen. But so you said that you were partnering with the tax commission, correct?
Yep.
And so what does that partnership look like? What is the purpose and what will it do and help?
Sure. I kind of went over it earlier that we were trying to find a long-term home for the tax program, and as the nation's tax commission grows, it seems best fit that they're most able and willing to house, this type of tax program. And the partnership as of right now, so the Secretary of the Nation's office has always managed the VITA TCE tax program since we started operating one. I believe the first year we operated a VITA TCE program was in 2017. And like I said, it's always been a function of the Secretary of the Nation's office or one of our departments And even this year for 2023, we're still written in the grant, so we applied for funding through the IRS, and we were awarded a grant for the VITA and TCE portions of our program. And so we'll still be helping implement that grant and providing the guidance and oversight for the program. But this year, like I said, it will be transitioning over to the Tax Commission. So the Tax Commission, their staff will be involved. They have, I believe, the Office of Tax Enforcement that their staff will be helping us to implement the program, and with the intention that starting next year, 2024. Well, I guess we're still in 2022. Starting in 2024, at that time, the Tax Commission should be able to fully take over the program, where my office, the Secretary of the Nation's office, might be very loosely associated or assisting in some high-level stuff, but we won't be in any way directly managing or providing oversight the way that we currently do.
So you plan to pass it off at some point?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. He's like, I'm over.
Yeah, it's quite the responsibility, but like I said, the Tax Commission, I believe, is the best place to house it. They have, the most relevant, I think, experience. Once they get trained up, it should be a pretty natural fit, and I think we have all the staff that we need currently from a managerial perspective. Like, as I mentioned, Megan Doss is here with me. She's been with the program for 3 years, and I believe the intention right now is that she'll transfer over to the Tax Commission and help manage that program moving forward. But the Tax Commission is also trying to grow its staff and its capacity, not just for this purpose, but also for, as I mentioned, the Office of Tax Enforcement, as well as I know that we recently expanded our the issuance of the tribal tags throughout the state.
Right.
And so they're growing staff, they're growing capacity, and I think at this time it just makes the most sense to find a long-term house for it that can really kind of build and take this program that from where I found it 4 years ago now, and really take it beyond what can be done in the Secretary of the Nation's office. Because short of essentially creating a brand new office under the Secretary of Nation and Commerce, there just wasn't a long-term house for it. And so now I think it is best fit with the Tax Commission, who can provide the long-term oversight, as well as at some point in the future they're going to have their own large office here in Okmulgee, and that should be housed there. And so,
will it be like a year-round type of service or education thing or something like that?
That is yet to be determined. So how the Chickasaw Nation operates theirs is they have a VITA office, and like I said, their staff, all that they do is work on the VITA program. And so in the seasons, or in the down season, essentially after the tax filing season has ended, they might still offer services in limited circumstances, and we continue to do that as well. So like if we get a call from a citizen, say in August or September, and they're in an extreme circumstance where they need a return filed, we can potentially still file a return for them, just depending on the situation and if they meet the qualifications of our program in the first place. Or we can provide limited tax assistance and refer them out to a partner who can still file a return. And so I imagine that at the bare minimum that the tax program in the coming years will operate in a similar fashion, or they might be reassigned to other work, or they might be reassigned to developmental work, trainings, recruitment, things of that nature. But really, it is a full-time job, and one of the other reasons why we saw it was best fit to transition it from the Secretary of the Nation's office is a lot of the staff that currently participate, myself, and there's another program manager that works with my office, Shalik Cook. We have a number of other jobs and responsibilities apart from this program,
right,
and so
right.
And it is enough work, to make an entire career out of it.
I'm sure it's a tiring time for you guys. When I think about taxes, I'm like pulling my hair. I'm like, I don't want to do this, and mine's super simple, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine having to oversee people. That would be really stressful, and like take care of their documents, like their personal documents and things like that, and make sure that everything gets done correctly. I'm sure that's a lot on your plate. Well, we just have about 5 minutes here. Megan, do you want to introduce yourself since you're here?
I can. My name is Megan Doss. I am the site coordinator.
What does a site coordinator do exactly? Like, what is your day-to-day tasks?
The site coordinator is one that looks over the preparers and helps the greeter coming in and making sure all the appointments are made and everybody's doing what they're supposed to and following all the guidelines.
Okay. So that's kind of stressful, but it sounds like you'll also have a new position coming up according to Mr. Harjo here, so congratulations. Sounds like a super stressful type of situation for me. But so what do you look forward to this tax year? What's the participation that you guys see like? And like what are the dates that you'll be able to provide these services?
We always try to overshoot what our anticipated goal is. I think we are targeting like 500 citizens this year, and really it should be more than that. It should be on the order of 1,000 or 2,000 returns, but it really depends on the participation of the residents within our region. So a lot of people will make appointments and then not show up, or at the 11th hour, after the filing season has officially ended, try to make appointments and things of that nature.
Right.
But really, it also depends on the type of partnerships we leverage. And as I mentioned, we've previously worked with OSUIT, and we're trying to expand to the College of Mvskoke Nation and potentially River Spirit and maybe other non-tribal entities as well. But I think the other biggest inhibitor to our participation has been COVID. The pandemic, the last several years has really slowed the program growth and whatnot. But with that said, I think that we're probably poised to have our biggest year so far, just because things with COVID and other communicable diseases are slowing down, or I think maybe the opposite is true, where society is just kind of growing to evolve with the times maybe. And so we'll still offer, as to the best of our ability, socially distant and safe services, in that, we wipe down and sanitize the surfaces that are commonly touched. But I think we're hoping for our largest participation again, like as I said, this year. But the tax season, or our filing season, is really determined by the IRS, and the IRS hasn't officially announced when the filing season for 2023 will start. It typically happens the middle to latter part of January, and then continues through April 15th. The past several years, that's fluctuated a whole lot with national weather and other national emergencies and events. That I know 2 years ago, the start of the season was delayed by about 3 weeks into February, and then because of that, it stayed open for states that were impacted by inclement weather through, I think, June or July. So it really just depends, but I anticipate probably the latter part of January is when we'll open up and then operate at least through mid to the end of April.
Well, we got about a minute here. Thank you guys for coming on the show. We'll probably get interrupted by the outro in a second, but do you guys have a number you'd like to throw out there really quick?
That will be coming at a later date. I'm so sorry.
All right. No problem. We'll get like an announcement from you guys later. I know we're a little bit early on the tax season thing, but I like to get that information ahead so you guys can get the most participation. But like I said again, thank you, and thank you for your due diligence and service to the nation. And Kaylee, did you have anything? She's about to fall asleep over there.
No. Yeah, I did an hour earlier. Is this by appointment only, or do y'all take walk-ins?
At the moment, I think we're intending by appointment only. On the outreach events, they're walk-ins. So, and it could be that as the tax season approaches, that the staff feel comfortable taking walk-ins, but we'll make those announcements when it's closer.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to go ahead and knock us out here.
Madam.
You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.